Welcome to Hired in IT. Our mission is simple: help you build the skills that employers actually want. Whether you're trying to land your first IT job, switch careers, earn a promotion, or increase your salary, we're here to help. Every video is thoroughly researched and designed to make complex IT topics easy to understand. If there's an IT topic you'd like us to cover, leave a comment below. We may turn your suggestion into our next video. Turning IT knowledge into career opportunities. The office had a dinosaur. A 5-year-old desktop so sluggish people brewed coffee while it booted. Then, the intern swapped one component, an affordable solid-state drive. Boot time collapsed from an agonizing wait to just a few seconds. The boss stared at the machine like he'd seen a magic trick. The secret? Replacing the ancient hard drive with a solid-state drive. Today, you're going to learn exactly when to use each, and when to stay far away. Last time we covered RAM, what it does, why your PC gets sluggish without enough of it. Today it's storage. By the end of this video, you'll walk away able to do 3 things. First, look at a drive and know instantly whether it's an SSD or a hard drive. No tools needed. Second, pull up your own machine right now and check which type you've got in under half a minute. And third, pick the right storage for gaming, for a NAS, for photo archives, and for long-term cold storage. Let's get into it. A hospital in Chicago had a radiology server. Every time a doctor pulled up an X-ray, there was a noticeable delay, seconds that added up across hundreds of patients, eating into diagnostic time. The culprit? Hard drives. Spinning magnetic platters with a mechanical arm that had to physically find each piece of data. Meanwhile, solid-state drives store data on flash memory chips. No moving parts, near instant access. That's the fundamental difference. Now let's put a number on that speed. A typical 7200 RPM hard drive reads sequential data around 120 megabytes per second. A SATA SSD, the older standard that connects via a cable inside your PC, jumps to about 550 megabytes per second, more than 4 times faster. And an NVMe SSD, which connects directly to the motherboard's PCIe lanes, PCIe, or Peripheral Component Interconnect Express, is the high-speed interface that connects your SSD directly to the CPU. For near-instant data access, can hit 3,500 megabytes per second. This is why a machine with an NVMe drive typically boots in seconds, while the same machine on a hard drive can take a minute or more. Imagine your computer is running a full antivirus scan, while you decide to open a giant spreadsheet. On a hard drive, the read-write head has to physically swing between the scan data and your Excel file, a mechanical seek that takes several milliseconds each time. It stacks up into a stuttery experience. An SSD has no moving head. It can access data in a fraction of a millisecond. So antivirus plus file open? No problem. And your boot time drops to just seconds. Time to lock in what you've learned. First question: what storage technology uses chips and no moving parts? Pause if you need a beat. The answer is SSD, a solid-state drive. Second, what's a typical SATA SSD read speed? Between 500 and 550 megabytes per second. If you got both, you're on track. Picture this. You're carrying your laptop through a busy airport. It slips from your hand, drops 3 feet onto the hard floor. With a traditional hard drive, that impact can send the actuator arm crashing straight into the spinning platter. Instant mechanical failure, data gone. Solid-state drives have no moving parts. They shrug off drops like it's nothing. The failure rates back this up. According to Survarian data, SSDs have an annual failure rate around 0.5%, while hard drives run between 2 and 5%. One of the biggest myths in computing is that SSDs wear out quickly. While every SSD has a finite number of write cycles, modern drives are designed to handle hundreds of terabytes, or even petabytes, of data written over their lifetime. For the average home or office user, that often translates to many years of normal use before write. Endurance becomes a concern. Hard drives don't have a write limit, but they do contain motors, bearings, and moving read-write heads that can eventually wear out mechanically. In practice, both technologies can last for years when properly maintained. The best strategy isn't worrying about which drive lasts longer. It's keeping reliable backups, because every storage device eventually fails. Power and noise matter when you scale up. A traditional hard drive draws noticeably more power, and you can actually hear it in a quiet room. The spinning platters and moving heads produce a low hum. Solid-state drives with no moving parts draw a fraction of the power and are completely silent. Now imagine a server room with 100 drives. Swapping to SSDs doesn't just slash your power bill. It dramatically reduces cooling costs and brings the noise level way down. So why doesn't everybody just use SSDs for everything? Cost. According to AWS's pricing analysis, per gigabyte a hard drive runs about 3 to 6 cents, while an SSD costs 8 to 10 cents. If you're building a 20 terabyte NAS for media storage, that price gap is enormous. SSDs have gotten a lot cheaper, but for bulk cold storage, hard drives still dominate on price. Time to lock in what you just learned. First, what's the average annual failure rate of hard drives? We saw a range of 2 to 5%, compared to SSDs at about 0.5%. Second, what's the rough cost difference per gigabyte between HDDs and SSDs? See if you remember the cents per gigabyte figures from our price comparison. A wedding photographer packs up after a 12-hour shoot, drops her external drive onto the pavement, and suddenly 3 years of client images are gone. That mechanical hard drive didn't survive the bump. But here's what nobody tells you about SSDs for portable storage. The move to flash changes everything when you're working on the go. When you're a photographer shooting on location, your backup drive is your lifeline. An external SSD like a Samsung T7 can tear through backups at over 1,000 megabytes per second, slides into a shirt pocket, and shrugs off a 3-foot drop. A traditional external hard drive? It manages around 100 megabytes per second, needs a padded case, and one bad jolt can crater the platters. You pay more for the SSD, but you're buying survival for your client's memories. Grand Theft Auto V, a massive open world. Fire it up from a hard drive, and you're staring at a loading screen for over 2 minutes. A SATA SSD can cut that down to around half a minute. An NVMe drive? Even faster. But it's not just boot times. Games stream textures, geometry, and audio constantly from storage. A slow HDD can't keep up, causing stutters when you spin the camera across the city. Put your game library on an SSD. It's the single most noticeable upgrade you'll feel, and it's why modern consoles switch to NVMe storage. Inside a network-attached storage device, or NAS, a dedicated file server for your home or small office, you still see spinning rust for a reason. A single 20 terabyte HDD costs a fraction of an equivalent SSD. And when you populate 4 bays in RAID, which groups multiple drives together for redundancy or performance, you're looking at a massive redundant storage pool that can stream media to every device in the house without breaking a sweat. The one place SSDs appear, a dedicated cache tier that absorbs the most frequently accessed files so that hot data flies while cold data stays economical. Build a NAS entirely out of SSDs, and you'll empty your wallet long before you fill the rack. Quick checkpoint on gaming and network storage. The #1 upgrade to slash load times, moving your game library from a hard drive to an SSD. And why do almost all NAS boxes ship with spinning drives? Simple economics. HDDs deliver far more storage per dollar, and that spinning capacity streams 4K video just fine. Imagine you've spent 10 years building a photo library containing family memories or client work. Which drive should store those files? For large archives that aren't accessed every day, hard drives remain an excellent choice because they provide massive capacity at a much lower cost per terabyte than SSDs. No matter which technology you choose, long-term storage should never rely on a single drive. Follow the 3-2-1 backup rule. Keep 3 copies of your data, store them on at least 2 different types of media, and keep 1 copy off-site or in the cloud. Whether you use HDDs, SSDs, or both, your backup strategy is far more important than the storage technology itself. You don't have to open your computer to find out what type of drive you have. Press Ctrl+Shift+ESC to open Task Manager, then select the Performance tab and click Disk. Windows displays whether the selected drive is an HDD or an SSD right on the screen. If you need more detailed information, PowerShell and Device Manager can also identify your drives. But for most users, Task Manager is the fastest and easiest method. In less than 30 seconds, you'll know exactly what storage is inside your computer. For a single command answer, open PowerShell and run Get-PhysicalDisk piped to select friendly name and media type. The media type column tells you directly whether each physical disk is an SSD or an HDD. No need to decode model numbers. It's the cleanest way to inventory what's inside a Windows machine. On Linux, lsblk gives you a quick hint. Run lsblk-de-o name, rota. The rota column shows a 1 if the kernel reports the drive as rotational, which often means it's an HDD, and 0 if non-rotational, like an SSD. But this isn't foolproof. Some drives misreport, so always cross-check the model number with ls8w or smartctl. Still, one command gives you a strong starting point. Time to test your recall. No peeking at the previous scenes. In Windows, what's one reliable method to find out your drive type without a screwdriver? And on Linux, what does the lsblk rota field actually indicate? A trainee I know built his first PC. He'd heard M2 is the future, so he bought a 1TB M2 drive. After assembly, his benchmark hit a wall at 550 megabytes per second, the speed of a SATA SSD, not the 3500 megabytes per second he expected. The problem? He'd bought an M2 SATA drive, not an M2 NVMe. Remember from part 1, M2 is just the physical connector shape. The protocol matters. SATA over M2 taps out around 550 megabytes per second, same as a 2.5-inch SATA SSD. NVMe, which uses PCIe lanes, can push 3,500 megabytes per second or more on Gen 3, and even higher on Gen 4. The price difference has narrowed, so double-check that box. If it says NVMe or PCIe Gen 3, 4, you're golden. If it just says SATA, you're paying for the form factor but not the speed. So here's your storage action plan. Number 1. You can now identify any drive in seconds, use Task Manager, PowerShell Get-PhysicalDisk, or lsblk, rota on Linux. Number 2. Match the drive to the job, SSD for your operating system, applications, and games, HDD for your NAS, bulk photo archive, or cold storage where speed doesn't matter. Number 3. When shopping for an SSD, ignore the shiny M2 label and check the spec, NVMe or SATA. That one detail triples your speed. You'll need this knowledge when we pick out the right motherboard in the next video. Part 5 is all about motherboards, sockets, form factors, and the chipset that will make or break your build. I'll see you there. Remember, careers aren't built by watching videos. They're built by applying what you learn. Pick one thing from today's lesson, build it, document it, and share it. That's how you get hired. Thanks for watching Hired in IT, where we're turning IT knowledge into career opportunities.